the ultra-wealthy like him. On Tuesday, we explored the fight of Hillary's life, the motivations that have driven her, the things she's accomplished, and we heard from everyday people whose lives she has changed for the better. Some who have met her and worked with her quite a bit, some people who she's never met at all. Last night we heard about how Hillary has the leadership skills and the steadiness that Americans can count on. Vice President Biden talked about how Hillary will fight for the middle class, how Donald Trump would be a disaster for the middle class. We heard former mayor of New York, independent Mike Bloomberg, talk about how Donald Trump as a businessman is really nothing more than a con man. We heard former CIA director and Department of Defense Secretary Leon Panetta talk about how Hillary has the steadiness and the experience to keep our nation secure, and what a threat Donald Trump's temperament would be for our security. And finally, President Obama really talked about how the values that founded our nation are themselves at stake in this election, how Hillary will protect them, and how Donald Trump would endanger them. So again, tonight in her speech, Hillary is going to stitch together each of these themes and talk about how this election is really a moment of reckoning for the voters. Are we going to succumb to some very powerful forces that are tearing at our social fabric, that are dividing us economically and socially? Or are we going to come together to solve these problems, to build an economy that works for everyone, to make our nation and our world more secure, and to make sure that every American has the same opportunities? You will hear her invoke different principles that have guided her throughout her career. In particular, you will hear her talk about how it takes a village. This was a theme from her 1992 book. In this campaign in 2016, we are talking about how we are stronger together. And you will hear her flesh out not just what this means from a value standpoint, but specific policies to make our country stronger and to do it together. So with that, I will, one other thing I will just add, some other highlights that you're going to hear tonight. You will hear from Governor Tom Wolf will actually be attending our convention. You may remember last week that Governor John Kasich did not attend the Republican convention. He certainly did not endorse Donald Trump. You will hear from former Reagan administration official Doug Elmitz and the independents and people from all ends of the political spectrum should come together to support Hillary. We will also, national security, we will hear from retired Marine General John Allen. He will be joined by a group of veterans to outline Hillary's commitment to our veterans and talk about how they can trust her ability and experience to keep our country safe and secure. General Allen was the Deputy Commander of U.S. Central Command and former commander of the International Security Assistance Force overseeing NATO troops in Afghanistan. And of course, Hillary is going to be introduced by her daughter Chelsea this evening. So with that, I will turn it over to Marlon Marshall.
All right. Good morning. Oh.
A little break for you, Marlon? A little bit smarter?
Opportunity for our organizing programs in every state across this country. Watch parties, we've had voter registration events, and it all ties into our organizing programs model, which is engage with purpose, organize with heart, and win every day. And the organizing program is something that we're building up in every state, and in particular our battleground states, to make sure that we're having those phone conversations, and we know that's going to pull us over the top in our states across this country when we get to November. On July 18th, we launched what we're calling the 3 Million Stronger program, where we were going to register or commit to vote 3 million people between July 18th and the end of this election across the country. We've used this convention this week to continue to go out there and do this work, to go out into communities, to register people to vote, to get folks to commit to vote for Hillary Clinton this November, and it's been very, very successful in that. I'm going to talk about tonight as well too. We have over 350 house parties in battleground states only, many more in many other states across this country that are going to be tuning in tonight, doing house parties, building out our volunteer networks in these battleground states that allow us to do the work that we need to do, make sure that we are continuing to build an organization, and we are engaging with that purpose and organizing with that heart so we can win this upcoming November. So we're excited. It's been a great, great week for our organizing program to be able to have this convention. It's been great to have it here in Pennsylvania to continue to build our organizing program here as well. And with that, I think we're going to vote.
This convention was supposed to be the opportunity for the Democrats to finally get their message across. But I'm curious, in terms of, I don't know how you accumulate data, how, from a television viewing audience perspective, have you been reaching people who otherwise are like new to these ideas?
Learned that we have had record, I don't know what the numbers are last night, but we've had record-setting viewership throughout on the first 2 nights, and I imagine last night was pretty compelling for people to watch. I imagine we had great numbers in, and that is it's important that, particularly since after what the country saw from the Republican convention, that America has a chance to see from Democrats not just why Hillary Clinton was president last night, why Hillary Clinton's the most qualified person to ever seek the office, but also how she has been motivated her whole life by a concern.
Both at the convention and going into general?
Who wants to be part of a more inclusive campaign that embraces a more inclusive vision of America. That's not just in terms of how of the community.
Washington did not mention Donald Trump by name. So my question is, how will the Secretary deal with Donald Trump tonight?
These are discussed as a choice in the election, so you should expect that as part of that he would be a part of why she's the threat that his presidency would pose, and why she's put her hand in. You should expect to see the director's speech.
Possibility of Russian hackers having gained access to Clinton's emails when she was Secretary of State and using the private server. In the campaign team, have you made an assessment as to whether or not that happened, and do you have a strategy for dealing with any more leaks that might come up throughout the campaign?
About what Mr. Trump has said on these matters, I understand suggesting that a foreign country, in this case a semi-hostile state to the United States, conduct espionage against an opponent who's running for to see the President of the United States. It's never, it's not sarcastic, it's never a joke, it's something that we should all take seriously. You should treat that seriously because he's the nominee for Republican's nominee to be president, and you should hold him accountable for those orders. Influencing our election, and there's a lot of questions about that all of you should consider very seriously, such as
His speech last night, the phrase jihadists or homegrown demagogues, which people took as a reference to Donald Trump. Can you talk about that line and the decision that might have gone into that? Is that a campaign message going forward?
I think that's some comments, but Donald Trump he demagogues. It's in a way that we have not seen.